Okay, everybody, welcome to week 5.
Week 5.
That was a very week 5.
God.
That
Nice.
was a good one. I'm proud of myself. Week 5 of Jesus' Sermon on the Mount. He's talking about the upside down kingdom, and the more we look into Jesus' teaching, the more we realize he cares more about what's going on the inside than what's on the outside. So let me ask this question. Has there ever been somebody in your life that you respected, someone in authority, who said things, and when they actually lived that out, maybe it didn't match up? Maybe their walk didn't match their talk.
Oh, absolutely. I can think of when I was in middle school, I had this coach who had this saying all the time that he would say, do as I say, not as I do.
I had two coaches. One in middle school I ran, and so in middle school, Coach Lochner was his name, and this is how old I am.
He's watching.
He would like hold a CD player with the headphone. Anyways, it was really awesome. He would run with us, right?
Yeah.
Then when I got to high school, we had Coach Myrick, old, not a runner.
Yep.
And he would send us running, and then he would drive his truck behind us. And I was just
I
like,
wanna
"There's
be that
a
coach.
difference.
I
There's
wanna
a
be that
difference here.
coach.
You know, and walking the walk and talking the talk, right?"
Yeah, and it's one thing when a teacher or a parent has that where their walk doesn't match their talk. But what about when it's a follower of Jesus, somebody who professes Christ? That can have some disastrous effects because it can change the way people see Jesus and the kingdom, and it can change the way that they see you, and maybe even affect the way that they might want to follow Jesus themselves. So Jesus talks about this very specifically in Matthew chapter 7, verse 1 through 5. Judge not, that you will not be judged. For with the judgment you pronounced, you will be judged. And with the measure that you use it, it will be measured to you. Why do you see the speck that is in your brother's eye and not notice the log in your own eye? How can you say to your brother, let me take out the speck of your eye when there is a log in your own eye? You hypocrite. Whew. Take out the log of your own eye, then you will see clearly and take the speck out of your brother's eye. Okay, so there's a big word here, judgment.
Yep.
We hear that word a lot. Man, maybe ask the question, are we even supposed to judge other people as believers?
That's good. That's really good. Yeah, I think there is something in here that gives us a little more clarity about when it comes to judging. I would say first, like non-believers, I would say they have not agreed to conform their life to the teachings of Jesus and to what the Bible says. So I'd say no, we're not supposed to judge believers. And we'll talk more about that here in a little bit. I think for believers, though, I think it does give us a little bit of instructions and a guide for how we actually can. We can and should judge. It's first we look at ourselves, right? It's so important that we look at ourselves, and that then we take a posture of speaking truth in love. It's so tempting to be, look at you, you're breaking the rules, and kind of be the rule police. But that's not necessarily how we're supposed to judge, or that doesn't actually even really go well. But more, it's like, you know what I mean? Like side by side of like, hey, I see this, you say you believe this guy, hey, can we talk about this more? Like approaching it as a tender-hearted conversation, I would say. So not from a place of being higher or trying to be a police, but more from a place of humility and compassion, trying to help lift up and encourage, whoever that other person is, to live consistently with what they say they believe.
So judging isn't necessarily like a bad thing.
Yeah.
It's just how we go about doing it. And Jesus has this crazy analogy about a log and a speck in your eye. I've never had a log in my eye. Tell me, someone explain this to me.
Yeah, so there's this analogy that Jesus is like bringing up, is that there's a speck in someone else's eye, and then there's a log in your own eye, right? And so there's a couple of things that Jesus is like not saying. He's again not saying that you can't judge, right? He's not saying like don't ever judge. What he's saying is that there's a speck in someone else's eye, which is a small thing, right? That you probably have to be close to someone. You may even have to be trying to look for it to find it. And the log in your own is like it's seen by everyone. Yeah. It's like an obvious thing that you need to work out. But Jesus is also not saying that like you have to be perfect to help someone else out with their sin, right? It's not saying that like you get free of everything before you look at someone else. But if you have a log in your own eye, it's really talking about perspective. It's making sure that you understand that you need grace just as much as that person needs grace. And so we all have logs, we all have specks in our eye. We're helping each other out. So don't have this massive log in your eye and then point out that little thing in someone else's. Like, you're not really like extending the grace that you want to get from other people, which kind of talks about a little bit of that word hypocrisy.
Yeah.
You hypocrite, right? It's like, if you're doing this, you're hypocritical. And I think how you can sum that up is really just not walking the walk, right? Saying you believe in one thing, but then really not doing it with your actions, right? You're talking one way, but you're not walking in that same way. It's hypocritical. It's incongruent.
Well, and I'd even say, like, have you ever played a board game and someone calls you a cheater and you're like, what are you talking about? You're cheating too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
there's no way you're going to listen to somebody who you think is like being a hypocrite.
Yeah.
But if it's somebody's like, no, I'm following the rules. Hey, can you actually follow them too? Then you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah. I like what you guys were talking about. The heart and perspective was a word that you used. And I feel like if we have a good perspective on our own lives, when we think about how much we've been forgiven, we talk about walking the walk. If we say that we believe that Jesus died for us, that we were sinners and we were broken, if we keep that mindset, that can kind of drive how we look at others and their faults.
That's great.
And we can look and see, man, I messed up too. I need help too. I need forgiveness too. I need grace too. And just like it says, whoever has been forgiven much loves much.
Yeah.
And with that forgiveness attitude, you can love people well, which really ties back again to the Beatitudes. He keeps doing this in the Sermon on the Mount. He ties back to blessed are the merciful, for they shall be shown mercy. So when you extend that mercy to others, Jesus promises you're going to be shown mercy as well.
Yeah, what the world has a problem with isn't Christians who are imperfect. Like, they don't expect perfection from us.
Yep.
It's that when we live out this idea that we are perfect or that we have no problems, and we point out the faults in other people, and we aren't willing to admit our own faults or even treat people with grace and love and forgiveness because that's what we've been given, that's what the world has a problem with. And so many people are turned away from Jesus because they see a facade, a fake hypocritical Christianity that doesn't admit our own faults. And that's the picture of the speck and the log in our own eye. And man, this is challenging me to think about what are ways in which I am holding other people to a standard that I'm not willing to live of myself. Maybe your friends, your teachers, or your brothers and sisters, you've got an expectation that they're going to live a standard that up here. But when you mess up, you're like, no, I want you to show me some grace, show me something. We want other people to show us grace, but we're not willing to show that grace for other people. So as you dig into this passage, this wonderful passage in your small groups, think about the ways in which you are being hypocritical maybe in your own life or not willing to show grace to other people, but you want that grace extended to you. I hope that is a great discussion about the power of mercy for other people. All right, great. Thanks. Have a great day.